Welcome to The Cynical Developer, the podcast that helps you to improve your development knowledge and career through explaining the latest and greatest in development technology and providing you with what you need to succeed as a developer. In this episode, I've been asked to talk about health and fitness for developers. I'm not a fitness expert, but I can share with you my journey from fat to fit, or at least getting towards fit anyway. So developers, both male and female, are normally bundled into two categories: overweight slobs or skinny runts, both with little to no personal skills, and this is something that needs addressing, as it's not always the case. And in fact, because we spend so much time sat at our computer screens, we need to make a conscious effort to change that perception, because we're not all like that. So I'll be talking about the methods that I use to get into better shape, and I'm by no means saying that this is the only way, but it's the way that worked for me and has worked for several of my friends as well. I think about 10 of them are now following in my footsteps and following what I did, and one has actually excelled really past what I've done. He's in better shape than me, and much better health for it. So it's good. It's good. The master has become the pupil. So where does this begin? Well, when I started out in my career as a developer, I was a little overweight, and as my career progressed, I put on more and more weight until I hit my heaviest at 110 kilos, which is about 242 pounds or 17.3 stones. At the time of recording this episode, I'm now 73 kilos, so 160 pounds or 11.5 stone. So there's a big loss there. And that is from August 2016. And we're now in July 2017 as I'm recording this. I'm also a lot healthier and fitter than I've ever been. Even as a child and young adult, I was never really athletic or sporty. But I was a skinny streak of a kid. As a child, I did some sports. I did judo, fencing. I was supposed to start Muay Thai kickboxing when I was in university, but the day before my first session, I managed to break my left kneecap. That's a story for another time. However, breaking my knee also helped to put on the weight too. I was already on that road at that point, but it definitely helped pile it on when I couldn't get around, and I had to give up all the activities that I did do, though there weren't many. So yes, it's great that I've lost the weight, but why did I start on that path? You know, what was my motivator? You've got to have something to aim for, some goal. Like anything else in life, you need a goal. You need to set those markers to get to, and that end goal that you want to achieve. So there's many reasons really to lose excess weight, but the reasons that struck it home for me was kids. I didn't want to be the dad that couldn't take his kids to the park and run around with them. I didn't want to fall off this mortal coil before my time was truly up, and not be around later in life for my kids when they need me as well. So I tried many things: calorie counting, eating salads, diet shakes, meal replacements, loads of exercise, but none of that worked for me at all. I just pretty much stayed the same. And what it came down to was the way that I was eating. So what I eventually found that worked for me was low carb, and then I progressed that onto keto. Now, what that is, in very simple terms, for keto, is 20 grams of carbohydrate or less a day, and between 0.8 and 1.5 grams of protein per 1 kilo of lean body mass. Now, you work out your lean body mass with a calculator online, it'll sort that out for you. And then fat to satiety. Or, if you're still limiting calories, then to your calorie limit, if you're tracking them. I lost 12 kilos, 28 pounds at 2 stone, within the first 2 months. And then everything else came off over that period since, really quite regular. And that was without any extra exercise. I was walking a little bit to and from work from the car, and not a great deal. I wasn't going out running or anything like that. I wasn't hitting the gym. All about sorting out my diet. Now, if you don't want to go down the road of keto, low carb it all varies for different people, but anything under about 50 grams of carbohydrate a day will be good for you. It's worth looking into. So I have also introduced exercise now, and I recently ran a half marathon, and I finished that in 2 hours 9 minutes. It's not too shabby, since I used to get out of breath from just getting out of bed. And I couldn't run down the stairs, couldn't run up the stairs, couldn't do anything like that. I've also started strength training at the gym as well, just to build up core strength and a bit more endurance in my muscles. Now, I'm not going to preach to you about keto, but that worked for me, and everything that I've done is backed by science, and a lot of the stuff that we take for granted as what is healthy now is all based on pseudoscience. It's worth going and having a look and find out for yourself, really. But at the end of the day, it's find out what works for you and stick to it, and that's the key. If you want to learn more about keto, then I'd suggest go and listen to the Two Keto Dudes podcast, and also join the ketogenicforums.com. The forums is a good community. You can go on there, ask questions, and find out stuff about it. And Two Keto Dudes is a full podcast just about keto, the science behind it, things that you can eat. They do recipes and stuff like that. I'll put links in the show notes to both of those for you. But they're really, really good to go and have a look at. Now, not everybody can do keto. There is a small percentage of people that can't do it because they can't digest the fats, or they can't have certain things. I've got a friend who tried it, but she can't have dairy, so that really cuts this out, because there's a lot of dairy in doing keto, because you're eating a lot of fat through butter, milk. Sorry, not milk, but creams and cheeses and stuff like that. So if you like eating cheese and eggs and bacon and steak and chicken and stuff like that, this could be the diet for you. Anyway, and just like learning new technology, it is tough. You struggle. You have days where you just don't care and you go back to what you know. But if you want to succeed, you have to keep going and keep pushing on. Just like learning a new tech, keep track of what you're doing. It's the best way to meet those goals that you've set. I use a few apps and a few bits of tech to track my health and fitness goals. So I track all my meals and the food that I eat during the day, and I do that with MyFitnessPal. I've got that on an Android device. You can use that to scan the barcodes on the food that you're eating, so it makes it really, really simple to keep track of it. And that'll save all the calories and all the macros and everything out of it, and you can work out what you should be eating. You can also track it in different ways. So you can do it by calories, and I say you could do it by macros. And macros are fats and proteins and carbohydrates, and that's the preferred way that I like to do it, because I want to know that I'm eating 20 grams or less of carbohydrates. I sort of go around the 0.8 to 1 grams of protein per lean body mass, and then I do calorie count a little bit with fat, but I'm not too hung up on it. I've also got a Fitbit Charge 2, which is a step and stare and calorie counter and heart rate tracker and everything. It comes with a nice app for your phone and a great website as well to use. So you can work out what you're doing throughout the day, and it also puts your calorie burns. That links up into MyFitnessPal, and combines the calories that you're needing to eat with the calories that are being burned by exercise, so that your deficit is always right. I've been able to see my fitness increase by watching my heart rate through the Fitbit, and I've seen it drop. I've seen my resting heart rate drop to an average of about 50-60 beats per minute, Whereas when I first started out, it was 70 plus beats per minute resting. That's not doing any sort of exercise. It's not walking around. That's just sitting down doing nothing. So that's improved massively. And when I go out for a run as well, it also tracks my heartbeat. And I've noticed that I've gone from sort of knocking on the door of 200 beats a minute to doing 150, 170 at max, really, where when I'm pushing myself. And I use a couple of running apps as well. And I know that my running times have gone from running a 15-minute mile to a 7-minute mile, sort of averaging around an 8-minute mile. So there's definitely improvements coming to that. I say to track my runs, I use a couple of apps, but the main one that I use is Runtastic, which it's got a free application for your phone, whether it's Android or Windows Mobile or iOS. There's a free version out there, which is fine, but there is like an extended full service with a paid application, and also if you get a gold membership as well, you get more insight into your stats. And we all know that us geeky developers love getting those details and getting and looking at those charts and seeing the different numbers. It is good. The Fitbit also tracks your sleep as well, so you can tell whether you're getting enough sleep. And I found that I'm actually a really bad sleeper. My sleep is constantly broken. I get very, very little really good quality sleep. And that sort of explains why I can be so tired. So I've said I've changed the way that I eat and that I lost a lot of weight doing that. And I did mention I've introduced a little bit of exercise and things. So what exercise do I actually do? Now, I'll tell you what I did to train for the half marathon. And then I'll sort of go into a little bit of what I'm doing at the moment. So to train for the half marathon, I was running sort of 6 to 8 miles 3 or 4 times a week at lunchtime. It was taking me about an hour or just under, around 50 minutes. I didn't really go to the gym then. Some days I would do that 6 or 8 mile run as a straight run. Other days I'd do it as HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training. And that's where you run for a minute at a fast pace and then run for a minute at a slow pace, and you keep doing that until you've completed the 6 miles. And again, Runtastic actually supports that. You can set it up for distance or time or whichever you want to do, a combination of both, and it will tell you how fast you're running and whether you're in the zone, the speed zone that you need to be in. So that's really good. I'd also mix it up a little bit on the mileage as well. So some days I'd only go out and do maybe 2 or 3 miles on that run, and other days I'd go and do, say, 10 miles. And I found that keeping your body guessing was really the best strategy to progress, because otherwise you were sitting there and going out and doing that 6 mile, and your body was used to doing that. If you didn't do the full 6 mile, you'd feel like you hadn't done enough, but you could never push through. And half marathon's 13 miles, so you need to do that little bit extra. And this wasn't without its pitfalls. I did have injuries. I managed to aggravate the IT band in my left knee. The first time I ever ran 3 miles straight, which can be quite painful. It lasted about a week for me. And then I did the same thing to my right knee as well when I first ran 6 miles. And again, that took about a week to heal, and I was all right. I have read that if you really injure it, rather than just aggravate it, you can be out for months, so you need to be careful of that. And these injuries really were because of the way that I was running and the way that my feet were landing. And I was running on the outsides or the insides of my feet, and not landing with a flat foot as you should be when you are running. And after I fixed both of those and consciously made an effort, it was great. No other real issues. One other problem I did have when I first started out was shin splints. My shins would scream after about half a mile, or not even that far sometimes. And this turned out to be because of my trainers. They just weren't suitable for me. So I found this out by going to a local running shop and having a gait analysis done. And this is where they make you run on a treadmill and they film you from behind, and then they watch it back to see how your ankles and your knees and your hips move. And what they can then do is they give you different trainers to try until they find one where your hips and your knees and your ankles all line up as you're running. And that made a massive difference. I paid out quite a lot of money for my trainers, but it solved the issue with my shins. I don't get that problem at all anymore. So I'd suggest going and getting that done. Don't just go and stick on your old trainers that you've been slobbing around in for 4 or 5 years or whatever, and try and go running them, because they're going to be knackered. They're going to be collapsing on you, and you've only got so many miles out of a pair of trainers really before you have to go out and buy a new pair. So I mentioned that I started going to the gym as well, and the workout that I do at the gym is all about core strength and stability and endurance. And I don't want to turn into a huge hulking mound of muscle, but having good muscle mass and general strength is my goal. And I'm just starting out on this, so I won't be advising on what it is that I do, but I know it's working, as I've seen a difference when I look at myself in the mirror. So there's a thought for some of you. But it's all around free weights and body weight and stuff like that. Just trying to build that little bit of muscle up, not massively though. And we all as developers are really well known for terrible posture, and I'm no exception to this at all. Sitting slouching forward or back in my chair, and it's actually left me with back pain and rounded shoulders. And when I first started at the gym, I was with the personal trainer who was getting me to lift weights, and he saw how rounded my shoulders were, and he said if I don't sort that out, that doing exercise at the gym with weights will actually cause more problems than a good. There are some stretches and things that you can do to help relieve that problem, but in doing them, he realised that something I already knew is that I suffer with hyperextension, so all my limbs move further than they should do. All the ligaments stretch a little bit more, and it's one of the reasons my knee went. So that I'm quite supple, so doing these stretches, they weren't working for me, so I had to find different ways to sort this out. And something that I've been trying is a posture trainer that I bought on Amazon, and it's a bit like a harness. It's like a bra without any cups on, really. And you stick it in your arms through it, and it straps on your back, and it's got Velcro straps on it that you pull up and tighten up, and it pulls your shoulders back to where they should be, rather than hunched round where we're all hunched over tight over a keyboard and a mouse. And that's been great. I found I can actually breathe better when I go for a run now as well, from using this, because I'm not hunching over as much. I'm quite aware of it. And I found that people say you wear it for an hour, wear it for 30 minutes. I try to wear it for as long as I'm sat at a desk. Some days that is the full 8 hours. And it's quite comfortable, the one that I got. I'll include a link to it in the show notes. I don't know if it's still available, but I will link to it so you can have a look at it. But in wearing that, and then some days not wearing it, it's made me very, very aware of how I'm sitting. And also when I do sit and slouch now, I get a pain in my back. So I have to make sure I am sitting up straight. So that's pretty good. And hopefully that will sort some stuff out as well with me. So after finding what works for you and sticking to it for a few months, it will become second nature. I don't think twice anymore about scanning any of my food, or anything like that. When I first started out, it was I was quite conscious of it, and people would comment on it. Whereas now it's just taken for granted. People expect me to do it, and it's like anything. if you stick at it, it just becomes what you do, and it becomes a part of you, and it makes everything so much easier. So you may be sat there listening thinking, I can't do all that. But seriously, give it a go. What harm is there in giving it a try? If anything, for the health benefits, I'd suggest having a look at keto. I'm not saying go out and actually do it if you don't feel that it's for you. But I am fitter and healthier than I've ever been in my life thanks to it. And my kids will hopefully have a dad for much longer than they would have done if I just stayed on the fat road. So the recording of this show, at the time of recording this show, I'm still only just into my journey. Creeping up on 12 months into it. I don't think I'll ever stop what I'm doing now. But I still have loads to learn. And like with programming, you never stop learning when it comes to health. So just be open-minded and always ask to see the science before you try one of these crazy ways of eating. And do me one favour and stay away from juicing. I don't mean drugs, stay away from them. But they do these, there's this juicing craze going around, which is juicing vegetables and things like that, and fruits, and drinking that, because that gets you healthy and lose weight. Yeah, it makes you lose weight because your body doesn't have time to digest anything, and it just comes out the other end the same way it went in. So stay away from that. And drugs are definitely not the answer to becoming a RIP programmer. It'll lead to a lot more health problems, really, in the long run. So don't do drugs, kids. If you want to talk to me about what I've done to turn my health around in more detail, hit me up on Twitter, drop me a message in the comments for the show notes. Jump over onto the Coding Block Slack channel, where we have a channel dedicated to diet and health, and I can bore you to tears with it all for hours. I can advise you on what I've done and what I think you should be doing. And as always, the links to everything is going to be in the show notes. There'll be the products I've talked about, the websites I've talked about. So make sure you read them. Give me some feedback. If you've got something that you want me to talk about, then please let me know. But until next time, thanks for listening to Cynical Developer. I'm James Stoddart, and this was Developer Health. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on your favourite podcast platform and help the Cynical Developer to grow by increasing its audience. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, then drop us an email, a tweet, or leave a comment on the website, where you can find all the resource links and show notes for each episode.